Okay, this is a video. Now, if you go to my website, I have some graphs. I have some data table things. I don't know why, really. I mean, I'm sure you can get all that. And then I have these waterfall charts, this American football field chart, and this graphing now of step changes. Now, if you have a little bit of data, 50, 100, and 200. And if you just graph that and make a line graph in Excel, it'll suck. Okay. And then, because what you really want is a graph that looks something like this. Okay. And the question is how to do this. Now, perhaps I'm wrong. Okay. But I start with this data, and what I do is make an extra wide X scale. So we start with the number one, and then we have two twos, two threes, and a four. And when we get to the number two, we continue the first one. So this goes from one to two, and then the twos, the x-axis goes while it's on two. We have a jump from 100 to 200, and then three and four. Now, to do this, you need to create this little x-axis, and I do it with this mod, whatever this number is, comma 2 equals 0, just to create an odd even kind of true false. And then you have to get this starting point correct. So the reason I put this thing in the website is just, oh, look at this. I didn't center it. I thought I centered it. Shoot. I forget how to do it. Now, to make it work, when you're finally, after you made this little x-axis, you can use the index function. So you get with the index, you can get two hundreds. So you do how do we do this? We do an index on the last value and on this value. So if you go back, we put an index and select this one and go back one, then you'll get two hundreds and three 200s, whatever, two of each, two of each, two of each. Okay, that's what you do. And there are a lot of these solar things where we have seasonal patterns, and they're always diagonal. They should be going straight up and straight down, really, and the debt service should be going straight up and straight down. And I always forget how to do this, and so I never do it. And then so I'm trying to make a website so I'll remember for myself and for you how to do it. And then finally, when you make a graph, you can either, I discovered this by accident, you can either use the date axis. If you use a regular axis, it wouldn't work. Or you can make an XY a graph. And when you make an XY graph, that's where we're getting this kind of thing that I just showed you. So let's kind of do this. So if you select the area, and then if you press alternate F1 to get a graph, okay, with a column it looks fine, and then maybe you say that's fine with a column. But then when you switch the chart type and change the chart type to a line, then you get this disgusting piece of crap. And then even if, let's do one more thing. Let's go to the x-axis and try to format that as a date axis. That doesn't help. And if you would take this one and change the chart type and make it a XY chart and try to kind of do this, that won't help either. Okay, so we're stuck. All right, and I'm going to delete that. Now, if you instead make this one where we make a much longer x-axis with two twos, two threes, and the last one if you want, and then select this data, okay, and then press alternate F1. Well, again, when we have the column chart, that's all okay. If we would change the chart type and make it a line, okay, it still looks like crap. But if we if we go to the x-axis and we format the axis as a date axis, then it looks kind of like what I think it should look like. Or instead of doing that, we could also, I just undid this, we could change the chart type. And that's the way I used to do it, but I think it works better with a date axis almost. But we could also make an XY graph and get the same sort of thing. Okay, so let's just do a couple of things. Now, before I do this, when I did this other stuff up here, okay, I have the 1, 2, 3s, the regular stuff without the double x-axis and all that. And I also use the NA trick. For me, the most important trick of all, which is to say I always will use a little true false, and I'll always use the NA open and close bracket, and that will allow a flexible x-axis. So if we let's just make these graphs here. How about let's just start here and we go all the way past. And now there's a horrible thing where if you should put the NAs also in the data itself, because if you have a really big negative number or something, then it will distort the graph. So it's better. It'll leave the Y scale kind of bad. So if I press F11 this time to make a graph, here it is, and let's do our line graph, and well, this is kind of, oh, then let's get rid of this. So we do a format on the x-axis and make it a date axis, and that fixes the NAs, but you can see we have this, it doesn't step up. It's supposed to be exactly flat. Okay, well, maybe, all right. Well, how about let's do it like this. Let's take all of them, and then maybe it'll look like crap. Okay, so again, you press F11, right click, format the axis as a date axis. This time I have a couple of other kind of declining and increasing ones, and we change the chart type. And we make it a line or an area, and we get these things here, right? That's what I don't like, and you can try to do the same thing with a area chart, and it's the same sort of stuff where it goes down, diagonally or whatever you want to call that. Okay, whoops. Okay, whatever. Okay, Alt EL to delete the sheet. Now, if instead we wanted to make it a different kind of axis, I start with the number 1. You notice this is just typed, okay? And then up here we have equal mod, which means the divisor, right? We take this one, divide by 2, and we say that's equal to 0. And that will give us a Shift Control R, that will give us odd, even. And we start with our 1, and then this one, I say, okay, let's take this one plus the true. And when I do that, it's just going to make an extended long axis, okay? And this axis has to be a lot longer than the other one, Okay, and we have two twos, two threes, two fours. We only have one one. That's the one I always mess up. Okay, and then I even put use index here. And and then I have the same sort of NA thing here, where if it's above the 60 years or 30 years, we put an NA here, and then I said, okay, well, first of all, so we've got our first numbers up here. This is what I always get wrong. Just take the first number, kind of cheat. Oh no, we're not making. If some auditor is going to run their little program against it and say, oh no, you put a different formula in the next one. Well, that's true. That's what I do. Tough crap. Okay? But when we use the index on the whole line, let's do it. Index. Okay, and take the whole line of all the data, including the first one. And then you don't go, this is the mistake I always make, you don't go up to that one, you go back one. And what that will do is it will, when it's equal to 1, it'll take this number, right? Okay, and then when did I do the same thing here? And then when it's 2, it'll take the second number. Excuse me. This one is the first number. Oh, this is the flat case, so this is a stupid one to look at. So the first number is this. The second number is still 1. The third number is 2. The fourth number is 2. And then when you've structured this, so you've got 2 across, you've got kind of the same number across 2 different x-axes. That's the trick. I don't know if I'm using right terminology or anything else. And then when we do the same thing, shift control right arrow twice, F11, and we we format the axis, and then we put a date axis, and this time we change the to a line, right? Uh-oh. Yes, that's okay. And then we can kind of see how they're going up and how they're going down the way they should be going down. And we can see the growth. This, for me, is a much more correct way to represent to represent the data. Okay, for example, if this was solar, it would be the winter season, the summer season, the winter. You wouldn't have gradually going up and down and all that. So I've been making these solar graphs incorrectly for years, I guess. All right, and that's enough. Okay, and so you can find the instructions and this file. I think I put it even, this file I put on that a web page that I just referred to.